Welcome back to the channel. As always, I want to thank all of you that have subscribed to my channel, but also for watching and sharing my videos. In this video, I want to talk to you about two things really that have probably affected or will affect everybody at some stage in your lives. It might be when you're very young, it might be at any other stage during your life. And there are two distinct issues that sort of overlap, both of which have a legal connotation attached to them at some stage and depending on when they happen and how they happen. Those two issues are one of being bullied and the second about admitting to something that you didn't do. And in my case, which is a personal story that I'm going to share with you today, there were both of these happening at the same time. Now, allow me to tell you the story and then I'm going to talk about what I think and what I recommend in each of those situations. So here's my story. So I could not have been more than about 5 or 6 years old, and there was another kid in the playground who generally was known to be a little bit rough, a little bit unkind, unpleasant to other children in the playground. This one fateful day, it happened to be me. Now, just for the sake of clarity, I hadn't done anything or said anything, and nothing certainly to provoke this kid from coming over to me. The first thing I knew about it was him in my face and then clamped me round the face with his thumbs in my eyes. Now, this was exactly as horrible as it sounds. It wasn't just thumbs over the eyes, it was thumbs being pressed into my eyes and everything went black immediately. And then it went light and then different colors. It was painful. I could barely see. I had an immediate headache and I was really in pain. And I was trying to get this kid off me. I was pushing at him and things like that. I have no idea how long it was, but after a period of time, which felt like a long time, one of the teachers came across and took him off me. And still quite dazed, everything was still kind of black and blurry. I was escorted into the school with this other kid to see exactly what had happened. Now, he had told the teachers that I had called him a bee. And that was the phrasing that was used. I'm not just shortening it for YouTube, but you can imagine what the word was. It was a rude word, it was a swear word. And I was told that it was a bee. Apparently, I'd called him a bee, and that's why he came and attacked me. And just as a brief interlude and complete tangent, I want to drop a free shout out to the daughter of a very good friend of mine who's created an art channel because she's absolutely fantastic in creating different artworks. And I would really love for her channel to take off so that she can really share her artwork with the world. Her channel's linked in the description and I'd be really grateful. Anyway, back to the story. Now, being at this tender age, I had no idea what they were talking about. I genuinely thought they were talking about a bee, as in a flying bee, bees and wasps. And so part of me was thinking, after I'd sort of calmed down after being attacked, part of me was thinking, why on earth would I call him a bee? What kind of insult is that? Why would I call him a bee? And in any event, I didn't do it. I didn't have any conversations with this kid in the playground. He was the other side of the playground. I'd been on the climbing frame at the time. He came over, I got down, and then wham, he came and attacked me, thumbs in my eyes. So I was sat in the head teacher's office with the head teacher and somebody else, being grilled about calling him a bee and being pressured into admitting that I'd called him a bee. Me thinking that I don't even know why I've been accused of calling him a bee in the first place. I refused to admit it because I hadn't done it. They told me that they will call my parents, that I'll be in serious trouble, that it's a very serious thing that I've done, that I've said to him. And this went on for a very long time. And so eventually I felt like the only way I could get out, because they clearly didn't believe what I had to say, is to apologize. So I just apologized for calling him a bee. And even as I said the words, remember I'm 5 or 6 years old, even as I said the words, I thought to myself, this is really silly. I'm apologizing for calling him a bee and I don't remember calling him a bee, and why would I call him a flying insect in the first place? Obviously for the head teacher and the, I think, deputy head teacher most probably, they thought it was very much more serious because now I'd admitted to swearing at this boy and that was suddenly a serious thing. Obviously then I got home, I had the conversation with my parents, and then actually the truth came out that I genuinely thought they were talking about an insect. So this, first of all, just goes to show that you can be accused of something that you're not even aware of, let alone something that you didn't do. But from that moment on, I decided that I was not going to admit to something that I hadn't done, because this had a serious impact on my emotional well-being at that time, because it was made out to be something incredibly serious, and I didn't even know what it was, let alone having done it. So for a while it made me feel incredibly guilty, but as a result I decided that I was never going to admit to something that I didn't do. So that's the first lesson out of all of this. And obviously as you grow older and accusations and allegations, and obviously with the trials that I've been talking about, there are false allegations made by either party depending on the circumstances. When false allegations are made, they can be very serious. I've had email after email and message after message while I've been talking about these trials and analysing the evidence from parties who have been the victim of false allegations and criminal trials that have come to nothing and they've been acquitted, but a year and a half or 2 years of their life have been totally turned upside down because of false allegations, false accusations, and they've been dragged through the mill, either in the family court or even in the county court, but including in the criminal courts as well. So this lesson that I learned at a very, very young age was a difficult and a harsh one. But you may have been thinking, what happened to the other kid that attacked me because of his false allegation against me? Well, you've probably guessed it by now. Nothing happened to this kid, so far as I'm aware. The school didn't tell me that he'd been given any punishment. My parents didn't tell me that he'd been given any punishment. I'm not even sure, as I think back on it now, whether my parents were aware of it or whether I even told them about it. Not only was I affected by being attacked and practically blinded, and it certainly could have blinded me and damaged my eyes, but I was also reeling from being accused of something that I didn't do. So it was at that age that I decided that I wanted to study martial arts, to learn self-defense, to be able to protect myself, to build my confidence, to not allow other people to bully me, which is effectively what was happening on that day. It didn't happen very often, and I can only recount about 3 times when there was physical bullying, one of which was the one I just described, and 2 of which I was hit in the face by someone who was clearly a bully. All around about the same age, or one of those was a little bit older. But by that point, I had started martial arts for the purpose of learning self-defense, to be able to protect myself and build my confidence. So if any of you watching want a way to build your self-confidence, I would wholeheartedly recommend martial arts. Because now, as I stand, having done martial arts for well over 30 years now, and a 6th dan in Taekwondo and military close quarter combat, I can say that I am absolutely confident if someone attacks me. In fact, brief tangential story, I was attacked in China by someone trying to mug me. The first I knew about this was a punch to the back of the head. Somebody literally punched me, hoping to take my wallet. But instead of cowering and being fearful and timid and instant panic, I turned around to confront the guy as though I would normally spar and fight in my martial arts. Clearly, he then saw that I wasn't an easy target. He tried to run off, I gave chase and detained him, and long story short, he was taken away by the police. So all in all, in this video, I really wanted to bring home that people can and are bullied and are accused of things that they didn't do. And people do admit and apologise for things that they didn't do. Case in point, in the UK Johnny Depp trial, there were text messages from Johnny Depp apologising for his behaviour, but both he and his assistants had said that he did this to appease Amber Heard because they knew that that's what she wanted to hear, because she was unresponsive and wouldn't let it go. Take it from me, even though I was a child at the time, I know what it's like to be forced to admit or to apologise for something that you didn't do. And I am quite certain that people of all ages apologise for something that they didn't do. And not only is this obviously damning against you, because if you apologise something, the natural inference is that you did what you're accused of doing, but it's also quite soul destroying. If you've admitted to something and you actually didn't do it, then you'll feel guilty about doing it. I've known criminal defendants want to plead guilty to a lower charge because they don't want the risk of going to prison for a longer time. And instead, if they plead guilty to a lesser offence, then they might just escape prison altogether. This, I suggest, is just simply wrong. It is wrong for someone to admit or apologise for something that they didn't do. And as I say in all of my videos, practically all of my videos, it should always come down to the evidence and what can be proven. And this is why we have rules of evidence and what should be hearsay and what should be taken to be more important. And those rules should be applied fairly and consistently across the board, across every witness, across every piece of evidence. And those who are victims of being bullied, they need support. They need people to support their account and to help them stand up to bullying and prevent it whenever it occurs, in whatever form it might take. And it's not just physical either. Just a few years ago, we had new offences created of coercive control. These include emotional control, financial control, and many other forms of control levied by one person against another. Whatever the gender, whatever the sexual orientation, whatever the race or religion, these allegations and accusations or coercive control can happen in all different forms, in all different directions, and it should always be taken seriously. But as always, and as I said, it needs to come down to the evidence. So the moral of this story from me to you is that we need to stamp out any kind of bullying and control in whatever form it takes, and don't apologize for or admit to something that you didn't do. Let me know in the comments if you've got any similar stories. Let me know what you think about this story of mine. It's a genuine, real story from my childhood, which was the catalyst for me to want to do martial arts. And I've done martial arts ever since. I've taught other people martial arts for well over 20 years now. I've taken self-defense classes free of charge within schools for teachers and children that feel like they need to be able to protect and defend themselves. And as it happens, that was one of the other reasons I started my sister channel, Black Belt Secrets. If you haven't caught that, it's in the description below. It's in the description of all of my videos. Go and check out that channel if you want to check some of my somewhat old videos now, way back when I was a fourth dan some 7 or 8 years ago. I've done lots of videos on self-defense and techniques and things in there. If you want to check those out, that's in the description below. But in the meantime, I'd really appreciate if you drop a like and a subscribe, because I really appreciate all of that cool YouTube stuff. But in the meantime, and as always, I thank you for your time and I thank you for watching.